The story for today comes from the Reddit user Scary Max, aka Scary Max said, "The new girl at school has my exact same eyes. I've always had the prettiest eyes at school. Everyone says so. Other people in my family had the same boring brown eyes, but mine were green with gold flakes. Everyone says I should be a model when I'm older, and I probably will. All throughout school, I've dated all the most popular guys. I love watching them watch me. For homecoming, I'm planning to go with Lee Tucker, the running back. He is already getting calls from a bunch of SCC schools, and I've caught him staring at me a bunch of times. There's only one problem: the new girl. Her name is Eliana, and she has my exact same eyes. I saw her the minute she arrived at school. There they were, like looking into the mirror. The same green luster, the same exact gold flakes in all the exact same places, except that she had this pale blank face. It made me sick to look at, honestly, like putting a $2 frame around the Mona Lisa. Worst of all, no one else seemed to notice how ugly she is. She'd barely been at school 2 hours when I saw Lee and some other of the football players chatting up with her at her locker. The whole time they were there talking to her, though, she just stared down the hall at me, like she was in a trance or something. After school, I saw her sitting at the front of my car in the parking lot waiting for me. She drives this Frankenstein of an old Camry, complete with the driver's side door with no paint. It's basically the opposite of my cute BMW. My dad got it for me. Of course, he's one of the top 5 pediatric surgeons in my country, so he can afford it. "You must be Alice," said Eliana. "I was wondering if you can go and get some coffee." She blinked, and TBH, it kind of made my stomach turn, because it was like she was blinking with my eyes.
Why would I do something like that?
I asked. "Come on," she said, smiling. "We're connected, you can tell that, right? We should be friends,"
I've got friends.
I said. Then I got to my car and peeled away while she stared at me in this super creepy way. At dinner, my dad could tell I was moping, so he asked me, "What's wrong, pumpkin?" And then I told him about Ilyana and how she talked with Lee, and about her stupid eyes. My dad practically choked on his chicken parm. "You stay away from that girl," he told me. "Don't even speak to her." I told him he was kind of freaking me out, but he just repeated himself and then got his worried dad look and said he had to make some phone calls. So, with Dad acting totally psycho, I grabbed my phone and decided to do a little Instagram stalking. Lee's kind of basic with his Instagram game, but I couldn't help scrolling through his pics. Except this time I found like 5 pictures of him and Liliana chowing down on enchiladas at Senior Taco. I screamed and tossed my phone, which totally cracked on the marble floor. Oh well, time for an upgrade, I guess. After the whole incident, I decided that Liliana and I needed to have a little chat. I tracked her down at her locker and asked her if she wanted to grab Starbucks after all, after the fourth period, and she was totally up for it. At coffee, she kind of stared at me like a shy puppy, looking at me with my own eyes. Every once in a while, she peeped out a little question like, "Do you have any brothers or sisters? And what's your dad like?"
Why did you move here?
I asked after playing nice for a few minutes.
Did something bad happen to you at your last school?
She shook her head. "This might be silly, but I moved here for you. I've been looking for you for a long time," she said.
Psycho. We just met. Yeah, cool,
I said, casually finishing my latte.
Uh, uh, better get back to my dad.
"Say hi from me," she said.
Yeah, sure.
Dinner that night turned out to be weirdly tense, especially after I mentioned my coffee with Ileana. I told you to stay away from her, my dad said, squeezing his fork so tight his fist turned white.
Why?
I said.
Is she like you a love child or something?
No, he said. She's just. His pager went off. Just stay away. She could be dangerous. I need a few days to figure out why she's here.
I really wanted to do what Dad advised.
But the next day, I go to the cafeteria and I find Lee and Ileana totally making out at a corner table.
I fully dropped my salad, which got dressing all over my best Jimmy Choo shoes. I walked over to them, going full Real Housewife psychos. Who the fuck do you think you are?
I shouted at Ileana. I wanted to see what you liked about him, she said. Why you picked him, you know. Or maybe I wanted to know what it's like to kiss him. You've been giving so much in your life. Sometimes I think you don't even realize it. The car, the boy, the money. But you are grateful for any of it? Huh? You realize you and I aren't dating, right? Interjected Lee.
I uncapped my green machine juice I was drinking and flung it all over at them. You're dead, I told Ileana. You're dead.
She licked a bit of the juice as it trickled down her face. I hope you don't mean that, she said. I wanted so badly to like you, Alice. I wanted to give this whole process some time. Now I'm starting to think I should just get it over with.
What the hell are you talking about?
I shouted. But by then the gym teacher, Mr. Lowry, was pulling me off to the principal's office. After the whole incident, I could tell people were starting to get the impression that I was the psycho bitch, so I decided it was time to control the narrative.
I jumped onto TikTok and made a little video explaining how Ileana had come into school to steal my boyfriend and was probably wearing contact colors to copy my signature look, and how basically she was probably trying to steal my whole identity. I titled it, "This Psycho Stole My Eyes," and posted it. Believe me, I got plenty of views, and the comments told me that I was totally in the right.
Knowing that justice was on my side, I grabbed a large rock from the field in the parking lot and smashed it through the windshield of Ileana's tragedy of a car, which honestly was probably an upgrade for that piece of junk. As the rock rolled over the pavement, I looked back to see Ileana watching me with my eyes and a slightly amused expression on her face. She mouthed words to me into the wind that I couldn't hear. Before I had to look at her for even a second longer, I got into my car and I drove home. I woke up in the middle of the night from a really good dream about Lee and found someone in bed with me.
Lee?
I whispered half asleep.
Did you sneak in?
It's me, said a soft voice. I thought it would be a nice surprise.
I looked into my own eyes, blinking back at me. Ileana?
I asked.
I know we're not sisters, she said. Not all the way, anyway. And we never got to be babies together. But we still have time. I started screaming as loud as I could, over and over again.
This isn't how I wanted it to be, she said. I know it's not your fault, the way you are. I mean, he spoiled you. But I wanted to at least get to know you before.
Dad!
I screamed.
Help!
His room was only a few feet from mine. His footsteps should have been thudding down the hallway by now. I'm sorry, she said. He hadn't come, you see. The whole thing, it was really between him and me. I was just projecting a few things onto you. But you're really just another victim here. She got up and looked out at the full moon, examining something in her palm. I did have a sister when I was born, she continued. A real one, A twin. They say she died at birth, but something never quite made sense to me. You see, they lost her body at a hospital. It sometimes happens, they say. They get mixed up with other medical waste and then thrown into the incinerator. But my mom always said she heard 2 cries when I was born. She saw 2 healthy babies. Something was dripping down her hand, dripping out of whatever she was holding. I lay in bed, my covers tied around me, like they protected me from the boogeyman. And would you believe the same night at the same hospital, a little girl was born to one of the top pediatric surgeons in the country? Now, it may take some digging, but if you look at the little baby's medical records, they'll tell you how she was born blind. Yet somehow those records later got altered to say her eyes were fine. Odd, don't you think? She took a step towards me. Where do you think that little blind girl got her eyes?
No,
I started to say.
no.
You keep telling everyone I've got your eyes. I copied you. I'm here to tell you, yours are stolen. She exhaled sharply. But like I said, none of this is your fault. You're just the beneficiary, and now the price is paid. We can leave as friends. She opened her palm to reveal what she's been holding all this time, a pair of eyeballs, fully intact and dripping with blood. I knew from their dull brown color they belonged to
Dad?
I said weakly. The price is paid now, she said. It's probably possible he's still alive if you hurry. She pulled open the clenched hand and put the eyeballs inside. Here, she said, you keep 'em. My dad didn't end up making it. The funeral is coming up this week.
At least everyone at school felt bad for me. Lee even offered to take me out for a movie. I went, but I was just not really into it. I just spent the whole time looking over my shoulder wondering if she was there. The cops are still looking for Ileana, but they don't have much to go on. Apparently that wasn't even her real name. The police have some grainy camera footage from Ileana at school, but it wasn't really enough to get a description out of the media. I tried to describe what she looked like, but her features are so boring. It is hard to even describe them. Just look at my eyes, I told them, wishing I could rip their stupid faces off. She's got the same ones.
It's just eyes, said one of the cops. Not really enough of a detail to go on. What else have you got? I shook my head.
Nothing.
The end.